So thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. It's been a great session and always great to be here at ITC Asia. It's a nice event. You can really meet people and connect. And this panel, it's probably not the first time this topic's been presented, but we're really going to try and open up some interesting questions and be a bit provocative. And so just as a little bit of a start, and it's going to be really hard to see this, I just wanted to sort of know who here's from an insurer? Hands up? A few, so maybe half. Who here is an innovator? Less? A couple there. Put your hand up, Phil. And any investors? Anyone looking for investment?
We have one in panel.
One. Oh, a couple. All right. So definitely an insurance conference. So today we're going to talk about those three things. We're going to sort of broadly talk about each of the topics, and we'll generally do it with a bit of a question that they'll each kind of refer to, because we're covering with this great panel all those three I's. So I'm going to kick off with innovation, and then we'll go to each of them, and they'll also explain who they are. Of course, look them up on LinkedIn. That's why they're here. So innovation. There've been a few sessions today. And Andy Parton was running a session earlier, and he talked about innovation being about better. So is it about we're doing things better or we're doing better things? I think often we talk about innovation and we think about new. So, thinking about it's about new ideas or new solutions. With a lot of talk a while ago about disruptive innovation and incremental innovation. So we've been talking about it in the industry for quite a long time, 5 or 8 years, on and on and on. Are we really innovating? Are we doing anything new, or are we just digitalizing? So I'm going to ask Prem to answer that first and also introduce herself as the intro.
Thank you so much. So my name is Prem, founder of Easy Digital. Prior to this, I founded an insurance company called Frank and sold it to Boltec a few years ago. So not new to investment side or startup funding side, but still pretty new to the insurance market. Background is in e-commerce. I sort of jumped headfirst into insurance because I saw the potential for innovation in this industry. Nobody was doing anything interesting when I started at that time, or at least it was not known to me. And here I am today. Regarding your questions, I like what you said earlier about are we doing things better or are we doing new things? In my opinion, a lot of insurance companies, again, pardon me, and I don't mean to offend any insurance companies in the
in
the audience here, but what you see as innovation is generally just regular digitization that has to happen with more available technology. It's like saying, look, my car now has Spotify. It's not a digital, it's just progression, the way I see it. Have I really seen true innovation in the industry as of now? Not yet. It's still very much lacking. Yes, we've enhanced distribution. Yes, we've enhanced the product creation side a little bit more, very little. Yes, marketing has become better. More people are aware of insurance product. Yeah, we're making it more available through embedded insurance, but that's still, at the end of the day, distribution of products. You're distributing it through different channels. You're finding a new channel available. But has the industry itself changed? Are the actuarial, the way you underwrite the products changed? It's still quite the same. Somebody who left the insurance industry, let's say 15 years ago, if they came back today, except for the digital distribution part of it, they could very much still work in the industry and understand everything that was going on.
So the answer is no. What do you think, Deepak? You're coming at the business from a different side, so explain what you're doing.
Yeah, I understand. So let me just introduce myself first. I'm Deepak Bhuvneshwari Uniyal, one of the co-founders of Insurance Samadhan. We're an InsureTech platform, and we resolve insurance grievances like mis-selling, claim rejections, and short settlement. And I personally feel a lot of innovation is happening, especially, I come from India. A lot of innovation is happening there. If you see Insurance Samadhan's innovation, specifically comes from the problem we wanted to solve, which was, grievance handling in life, health, and general insurance. And I really take pride in sharing that, it's purely an innovation what we have done. Nobody in Asia is doing. We're a category starter and category leader in Asia. We've been around for 5.5 years, solved more than 16,000 complaints, and got over $13 million in aggregate policyholders account. As we speak, we have almost almost 10,000 complaints sitting in one of the other bucket. And this is complete innovation. We also have built an in-house OCR, which is again unique in Asia. There's a product which we built, which globally unique, which can find errors in your policy and fix it there so that you're claim ready. So all this is innovation, and I think otherwise also, if I see in industry as whole, the innovation is happening at 3 levels, and I'm talking specific to India right now. First is there are a lot of innovation and technology which is being used to enhance services, which I think he just mentioned. And second is a lot of innovation is happening in distribution as well, building new products. I'll give you an example. There are companies which are building products which are like drive as you pay. So I feel yes, technology is being used to enhance these services, but InsureTechs like us are building a lot of innovation to help the end policyholders.
Rajiv, you're an investor. You're looking for innovation. Tell us, introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Rajiv Keshup. I'm a partner at a global private equity and venture capital firm called Cathay Innovation, part of Cathay Capital. We globally manage $6 billion. And I lead our investing efforts for Southeast Asia and India. In terms of innovation, that's entirely what we look at. We look at a industry, as Harpeen mentioned, that has gone through a digitization spectrum, not equally, some more than others, but is left serving their customers or reaching their customers on a digital platform, but the underlying product is still the same. And actually, the underlying data that most insurers gather about their customers is largely the same. If I was to, for example, rebuild a healthcare insurance product, I would look at multiple vectors such as sentiment analysis on social media, understand my clients' or customers' mental health, and have a rider associated with that, and really think about the triggers and drivers of my customers as I sort of redevelop that product. That hasn't happened. Where innovation is happening at lock speed is within the startup sector, and that's one that we predominantly invest in, with the hope that a lot of these startups and technology companies grow large enough from a product and distribution standpoint that they get the attention of the insurers that want to potentially bring those in or acquire those, partner with those in some ways. And we've seen a lot of success doing that. And so we have seen innovation. Unfortunately, not all of it comes from the traditional players within the industry. We do see that mindset changing, though, and so we're optimistic about the future.
And Eddie, what do you think? Introduce yourself and then your views on.
Yeah, thanks, Samadhan. I'm Eddie, co-founder, CEO of an InsureTech Malaysian base. So we started in 2017, and we've done venture into a lot of insurance innovations and some failures, some good things that happened. We tested our product in the central bank sandbox, and it's proven to be successful, but there are a couple of failures in our innovation. So to the questions that Simon is talking about, yes and no, right? I do think that it's more of an incremental innovations that most of the players are venturing into. I've not seen any big bang or radical innovation in the insurance space, at least for the last 10 years. But what we are seeing is that, innovations that is really happening into different, areas. It's not just about product and services that we are innovating. It's not just about the delivery, the processes, the claims process, but what we are seeing the last 2 years is the incumbent, the insurer themselves are more open to drive innovations with InsureTech like us, right? This is what we are seeing, they are more open to co-curate product with us to make things that is more product market relevant, right? They're more open to see more integration of technologies between our platform and their central platform. So this is the other innovations that we are seeing, that the willingness of the incumbent to create a larger ecosystem partnerships, at least from my point of view. And on the investment part, I think that is, we've been through ups and downs. We've got some good investment, we got some seed investment. But again, the challenge is all about how, well you're tracking on your commercials, right? I know how disruptive innovations that you're bringing to the market, and you can get into certain market that's not being disrupted before. How do we in search of the blue ocean, right? So that's my view.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
A question we think about a lot at Cathay is, question number one, is insurance out-innovating or innovating to solve their customers' problems? And what is the benchmark that we compare that to when you think about innovation in terms of speed? And a really good benchmark is the banking sector. Now, you touch your bank account every single day for some transaction, for some payment, check a balance, whatever. You don't touch your insurance policy every single day. And so while you have an innovative product that serves the need of your customer for the second, for the moment that you're insuring them, for the, whether it's time-bound or a specific situation-bound, you don't necessarily need to touch it because, in essence, it's there only if you really need it, right? And so it's not meant to, you're not meant to engage with it. Or maybe you are, and we need to really rethink the entire insurance product paradigm. But as a sector, you're not necessarily meant to touch your product. And so there is this bias of consumerism where we touch everything that's innovative and it serves us at the time that we need it, in the way that we want it, and at the point that we want to pay for it. But I'm not necessarily sure all of that necessarily applies to the underlying product that insurance is. And so it's really a question of, do you need to innovate? Some parts of it you do, maybe some parts of it you really don't. And does the pace need to follow everything else at breakneck speed? And we're not entirely sure as a firm view that you absolutely need to do that at the pace of, say, the banking industry as a comp.
It's a good alternative viewpoint. Like, maybe we don't need to be innovating in insurance. Maybe it's been working for hundreds of years, and it's all about how it's delivered. But the fundamentals aren't different. Good to be a bit controversial. Yeah. My next point, we're going to talk a bit about insurance, which we're all here for. An advisor once said to me that InsureTechs, or to our group of InsureTechs, that they should run a mile where they hear the word innovation lab or innovation team. And we're not offending anyone in the room. He's from an insurance innovation lab or team. But often we see that these programs are more, the hackathons and all those sort of things, they're more about internal engagement and staff morale and all those things, that actually real kind of innovation that it's kind of on the tin. So I want to talk a little about that and ask you the question, do we think insurers can innovate internally, or is that what we're here for in InsureTech? So I'm going to kick off with Deepak on this one, and then we'll go around.
So again, my answer is yes. Specifically talking about India, a lot of innovation is happening. Like, I'll give you an example of drive as you pay. So if I'm a working professional driving from my house to office and coming back, my premium will be lesser than somebody who's in sales and on the field and driving more. That's happening in India already. Then there are health insurance companies which are offering you lesser premium if you keep yourself healthy, which means you just have to make sure on their app you're showing X number of steps every day. Your premium will be reduced. There are health insurance and general insurance who have rolled out cashless anywhere in the country. So which means you can walk into any hospital and you'll get a cashless facility, even if that hospital is not a network hospital. So I think that's all. I would not say it's 100% innovation, but there's a steps towards innovation that you can the premium cannot be standard for all. It depends on how healthy, how safe you are driving. If you are if you are having a car insurance. I recently got a message from my team today that Tata AA, one of the companies, have just launched, I would say, loan against the policy, which they are issuing within 1 minute. So it's a $1,200 loan, a 1 lakh rupee INR, and in a minute they are offering if you want to, take a loan. So there's a lot of innovation happening even at the, government front, which is regulatory front.
Do you agree, Eddie? I see you look a little skeptical there.
No, I do agree, because we are going through that experience at the moment, because some insurer actually looking out for innovation, right? Not to say that they are not innovative because of the existing product or market structure they're in, which is pretty much agency and banker. So they're looking out to InsureTech like us to drive certain innovation so that it doesn't disrupt their current existing business. So I think insurer can be innovative depending on...
They need us. They need the InsureTechs.
Actually, my perspective on that is, put it this way, ideas are a dime a dozen, right? It's about how you execute on those ideas that actually matter more. So while innovation labs are great for a lot of insurance companies to try to do things differently internally and try to strike up ideas and get people within the company to speak up on different ways to do things, very few times I've seen people within the organization take those ideas into an operation and actually result in something. Or it takes a very long time where there's so many turnovers within the organization themselves, and the culture itself is not set up to move at that fast pace, like you were saying. And these ideas tend to fail, which is why from an external perspective, a lot of the time something an insurance company can pull off in 3 or 4 years that they say is super innovative. From an external perspective, you're looking at it like that should have been done within like 5-6 months. Why did it take you 3 years? Like, oh, this person who was heading the project left, and then the new person came in and had a different idea, and then it starts all over again. And this cycle just keeps repeating. So as an entrepreneur myself, we know this on a daily basis. We see ideas all the time. We see opportunity all the time. And you can share your idea with anyone and everyone, doesn't matter. But very few entrepreneurs or people can actually execute on those ideas. And I think it's the same thing within an innovation lab in any company.
That's the reason to run. Rajiv, what's your view on insurers and their ability to innovate internally?
I think I wouldn't have a broad brush over all the insurers. I think there are some, without going into naming names, I think there are some insurers that are much faster than others at innovating or taking the work of the labs or work in the sandbox and really pushing it up. And then there are others that just do it because it makes great press, but aren't necessarily going to do anything about it. I still come back to this belief that the speed has everything to do with the product, in the sense that at the end of the day, this is an annuity business and it's an annuity product. There's really no need to change it. You renew it once a year. Let's talk about health insurance. You see your health insurance agent once a year when it's time to renew. Sometimes you don't. It's an automatic renew unless you physically write something in to somebody to say you don't want to or whatever. So I don't necessarily think that there's a need to change the business in the way that it's currently served up. Now, there's been a lot of efforts on the parts of disruptive insurtechs to try and completely change the way the dynamic is set, but they haven't gotten to a point of scale that allows you to really drive change within the broader industry. It will happen. It's just not happened yet.
Okay. We're going okay for time, but we're going to move it on to investors and their role. So, obviously they're looking to generate financial returns, they're funding innovation. How do they change the dynamic? What is the role of the investors in this, in the insurance and the InsureTech sector in particular? Are they bringing, I guess, some of that market perspective to help the insurers with that sort of bureaucracy? So I'm going to start with you, Rajiv, obviously with your...
Yeah, I'll be quick because I don't want to talk about what we do well or not so well. That's for others to judge. But what our goal is look, we believe that the entire market still, especially in Southeast Asia and definitely in India, is completely unpenetrated. And so there's a lot of opportunity on a horizontal level, but even at the micro level to drive change. And we believe that not necessarily a short-term view, but our long-term view states that this change will occur and there will be technology solutions that are able to meet customer needs better than the incumbents. That's our fundamental belief. And so we're here to drive that innovation and invest in that innovation with the hope that we find a couple of assets that are able to scale, and that scale reaches the attention of large incumbent insurers to either adopt those products or even compete with those products. That's fine too. Both of those are equal amounts of validation for our work. And so we hope that that's the mission that we're sort of running towards.
Let's jump in on next, Eddie.
Yeah, I think investors are absolutely critical in the whole equation here, right? So while all of us see that opportunities for the insurance market disruption to happen, and we're driving innovations, but the thing is about timing. Right? I think gone were the days like 5 years ago, PowerPoint, a good speaker, they can convince the investor to give you some money. Now, I think investors are a lot more sophisticated, a lot more smarter. Hey, is it scalable? Are you able to sell? Do you have the right product market fit? It's a lot more sophisticated than what we thought, right? Especially those who have gone through the seed round and all that stuff. I think it's getting tougher and tougher. But yeah, they're absolutely critical because for InsureTech to thrive, we need investor that has a long-term strategic view, like what Rajiv is talking about. It's not about, I need my ROI within the next 3 years. You know, InsureTechs, sometimes it's hard for us to get into the green side. So yes, they're absolutely critical, and yeah, that's my response.
Yeah, I think just to add on to that as well, the other thing that I saw, especially when I was fundraising in the past year, some investors who are not used to investing in the InsureTech industry at all, you'd have to explain to them the nuances of the problem within the industry and why you're solving for that. And while e-commerce is very popular, a lot of people understand the entire value chain of e-commerce. Even in the banking and financial industry, the value chain is actually quite relevant. But within the insurance industry, there's so many small problems. Like example, what Deepak is doing specifically around grievances of claims. It's a very specific problem to a very specific industry, and sometimes very hard to explain the value that you're adding to that, and as well as the size of the market and the size of the problem to the investors. And again, going back to what you were saying about their expected returns as well. When you're doing that, when you're explaining all this, if they're an investor who used to invest in scale, where you pump money to burn and grow as quickly as possible. With an annuity business like insurance, the growth doesn't come the same way it did in e-commerce. You don't get to, 10 million customers within a year just by spending a lot of money. It takes a lot more time to retain those customers, but it also means your LTV should be much, much higher. So it is a much longer term business. And you have to explain that to investors, and you have to get the right investors on board, because the moment you get the wrong ones, you end up having a lot of money spent uselessly.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. So it's definitely across the region. Your views in that?
So in 5.5 years, we've done 3 fundraisers. And we personally believe that, if your investor is partner in progress, they understand what you do. And like he said, and Eddie also said, it's a long-term investment, especially when it comes to InsureTech or insurance. I think that's very important. And I think we are one of the perfect examples that investors are looking at innovation, and they are supporting. They understand it may not have a turnaround time overnight. Like we struggled for first almost 2.5, 3 years. And last 2.5 years, we've been doing tremendously well. But they supported us. So I think, as I said, they have to be partner in progress. That's most important.
Just out of interest, are you your investor sector like almost the opposite, or are you going to the same investor pool?
So
they see you as an insurance business, even though you're kind of against an insurance.
So we added new investor every time, but older investors, invested in every round. I believe that's what you were asking.
I was just asking whether your investors were insurance people and they saw you as an insurance business, or they're like seeing you as a disruptive. Well, what are they seeing?
So they had some sense of this space, but they're not from insurance.
We only have 30 seconds left. We just wanted to briefly sort of touch on sort of regulators and their role in driving all of this. So I'm going to ask Eddie just to sort of say a few words.
I would say the regulators is more of a love-hate relationship. It's like it's a distant girlfriend that you still need to keep a relationship with. It's always the line where to draw on, right? Do we disrupt and innovate first, regulation come later? I tend to think that, we have to disrupt first, but within certain guided parameters, then regulation will come, right? But having said that, we benefited a lot from the central bank and the sandbox that allow us to disrupt and look into some innovative proposition to go to market within a guided framework in the sandbox. So I appreciate that, but at the same time, we want to appeal to any regulators here that to also look into the perspective from the innovator or disruptor, right? So why are we doing that? And the kind of speed that we need them to come back to us in terms of certain disruption proposition, right?
So it's the three I's plus an R on the end. Any final couple of words? I think we're out of time, but each of you want to say a final parting to the teams, to the group? Final words?
Yeah, from my perspective, just looking at the title of our panel here, right, the 3 I's, ideally it should just be insurance plus innovation equals investors' money. And then that's a very basic formula, especially in this industry, if you're able to do the first 2 parts correctly.
Third will come. What do you think, Deepak?
So just, I wanted to add to what Eddie said about regulator. We've seen a good shift in India from regulator being a watchdog to a regulator being a progressive and partner in progress regulator. A lot is happening, and I can go on. So I think I would say India is a great story when it comes to building InsureTech. We were talking just before this. The next 20, 30 years is going to be amazing story in India, and a big reason is a great regulator.
Come back next year for the I plus I equals I. Rajiv, any final words?
If anyone's building in I plus I and needs an investment, I'm seated right there. Thank you.
He's the guy to talk to. So thank you everyone for your time, and thank you for this great panel.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.